Welcome to this special webinar presented by Amy Stair of the Real Estate Masters Guild. Today, Amy will share 6 tips to close buyers now. For additional information on the Real Estate Masters Guild or the upcoming Buyer Mastery class, contact us at 541-743-8530. And now, here's Amy Stair.
6 tips to close buyers now. Let's talk about things that are actionable, they're attainable, they're low to no cost, and they'll give you immediate impact. So I've broken those down into 4 categories. Probably the one that's most interesting to most of you is lead generation. I hear time and again, whether it's with coaching clients or when I'm out on the road at an event, I feel like I'm doing a pretty good job with people once I have them. Where I'm having a struggle right now is in reaching more people. So we'll talk about lead generation. I do want to share a tip with you or 2 on lead incubation, which is how you take care of that person until such time as they're ready to go look at houses and buy. Lead qualification, so that you're not wasting your time with people who are not willing, ready, or able to buy. And then conversion, actually getting them to write an acceptable offer so that you can get the deal to the closing table. So let's start with lead generation. And this tip comes to us from Anthony Testani, who's up in Flushing, New York, and he has great success canvassing just listed. Now, this may seem like a basic thing to some of you guys, and I'm sure if I asked for a show of hands right now on how many people are calling around their just listed, there'd be relatively few. So here's the key. When you're calling those folks, what you're calling them in regards to is not just to rattle off the data of the house, because if they live in the neighborhood, they can walk down the block and get the brochure. They can get on Google and pull that property address up. The reason we're calling those just listed is because most people know somebody who'd like to live in the neighborhood, and who doesn't want to pick their own neighbor, right? So when you get on the phone with those people around your just listed, you're asking them, who do you know, friends, family, colleagues, who would like to move closer to you, that you'd like to have moved closer to you. And you'd be surprised how much mining you can do when you make those calls. Then we have another, and it's interesting when we talk about buyers, the reaction I get when I bring up expired, because most people have the perception that you call expired listings to try and get their listing. And I'm not here to argue that point or negate that. That is absolutely why most people call expired listings. However, think about this. How many expired listings are getting at least 3 to 7 phone calls that first day when they go off the market? And what are those agents saying? They're all saying the same thing, right? Are you aware your home went off the market? How long are you willing to wait before you get your home sold? I'm not sure you know this, but your home showed up expired in the MLS. We all know those dialogues. And that's the traditional approach with expired. I want you to take a different pattern of thinking today with expired, and that is most expireds are going to make a local move. And so rather than call them trying to get the listing, we're calling to approach in curiosity of what their plans are as a buyer. So now the dialogue goes more something like this. Mr. Smith, I noticed your property is no longer active on the market, and I'm just wondering what your plans were if it had sold. Where do you plan to move to? Engage them in a conversation. What we're doing there is, think about this. You're an expired. You've had your property on the home, let's say 3 months, maybe 6 months, possibly longer. There's a great amount of disappointment because you haven't gotten the results you want. So you're in a space of regret, maybe a bit of anger, maybe a bit of frustration. Do you want to be engaged in a conversation that further takes you down the road of defensiveness where you talk about why that home didn't sell? Or would you rather be returned to a place where there's hope and there's a consideration of what the future can bring? That's what we're doing when we call expired, for the purpose of representing them as a buyer. So let's say they tell you that they're moving out of town. Great opportunity for you to go ahead and refer them to another agent and get some passive income that way. If they tell you that they had planned to downsize or move into a bigger house, Now you've got an opportunity to talk to them about you representing them as the buyer in the transaction. And of course, when they find that home they're going to buy, they're going to have this home they need to sell, and there's an opportunity there as well. Now, if you're a buyer agent on a team, that's your opportunity. When working with your rainmaker, you may or may not have a policy in place about referrals on the listing side of the transaction. That's a road you can go down with them, and we're not going to spend time on this call talking about that. So then let's talk about another method of lead generation, open houses on Facebook. Now, I'd hazard a guess that most of you are probably still doing open houses. Many of you do them simply to pacify your sellers. Some of you do them because you actually get decent traffic through the open house, and it gives you new buyer leads to work with. I coach a couple out of Broomfield, Colorado, that have started in the past several months placing an ad on Facebook. Now, when I say open houses on Facebook, I take a wild guess that what most of you are thinking I'm referencing. You go onto your page and you do something like this. You post a picture of the house, a little bit of information about it, and if you happen to have a vanity URL just for that property through one of the many fine services out there that do that, then you've got the link to that website. That's a great first step, and that is not what I'm suggesting. This is on top of that effort, and this is directly targeting the people that live in your area. So in this case, they're in Broomfield, Colorado, so they're going to go on and actually place a paid Facebook ad for the open house. So I mocked one up just for the purpose of this call. You can go in, set up that ad, give a limited number of characters, so you just want a brief blurb in there about the property. You're going to have either your logo in there, or you can upload a picture of the house. And this is going to show up based on how you select your parameters at the bottom of the Facebook ad opportunity. It gives you an opportunity to say what the demographics are of the people that you want this ad to show up in front of. And then you set limits on how much are you willing to pay per appearance, and what is the cap you're willing to put on the entire ad campaign. So let's say you go in on a Thursday, for example, when you have a Saturday open house. You set your ad up, set your limit at $25, and what Kelly and Don O'Brien have found in Broomfield is that it's dramatically increased the amount of traffic they're getting at those open houses, because it's popping up right when people get on their Facebook pages or heading into the weekend. So this is another way for you to generate more buyer clients for you to be working with. Here's one that I am absolutely stunned how few people take advantage of. And we're going to talk about the reasons why. Calling into your database, and that means your past clients and customers, your sphere of influence, and potentially friends and family members that you've added to your database. Now, why do you think the reasons are that people don't make these calls? Because I'll tell you, surveying the top producing agents all over the country, the number one best source of business, regardless of market, regardless of price range, regardless of number of years in the business, is to contact the people who already know you, like you, and trust you. You've heard this probably more times than you can count. So what is it that prevents you from making the calls? First of all, believe it or not, there are a lot of people who still don't have their contacts in a database that's easily accessible. So they cannot get to the phone numbers, the email addresses easily. That's one reason. The second reason that people don't make the calls is because they have a fear of rejection. Now, let me tell you, of all the people over the years that I've encouraged to start making these calls, I've not had one person yet who said, I called 10 people, 9 of them yelled at me for not calling, and they hung up on me. It's not going to happen. What you will be pleasantly surprised by is that they will actually be happy to hear from you. If you'll recall, for most of these people, they ended on a positive note with you, and so that follow-up phone call is not going to be something that they dread. It's going to be something that they're actually pleased to talk to you. So then we have to look at, well, what's the other reason that people don't call? Because there are these 3 reasons. Number 1, they can't access the contact information. Number 2, fear of rejection. The third reason, and the most common reason that people don't call, is because they don't know what they're going to say. So there are a blue million reasons I could give you why you should get on the phone and call and what you can say when you make those calls. This one I'm going to share with you today comes directly from Charity Crosby, who is out of Eugene, Oregon, and she gets right to the point. She says, "Hi, Joe, this is Amy. I was wondering if you could help me with something. I'm committed to helping 50 people get into new homes this year. So if you hear of someone looking to purchase a home, will you give me a call?" So you're planting the seeds. You're not asking them to give you a name right now. You're just asking for them to engage in helping you get where you want to go. The other thing is that people love to help other people succeed. They want to be a part of something bigger than themselves. So you're making an invitation to them to be engaged in your success. You're also being specific about what that goal is. You're not saying, if you ever hear of someone looking to buy or sell, would you have them call me? You're saying, I'm committed to helping 50 people. Now you've quantified it, and you can track against it. So the next time you talk to this person and they say, how are you doing against your goal of 50? You have a response for them. Now, the script doesn't end there because this is a relationship business. So you want to continue to build that relationship. For the call, see how they're doing, record notes in the database so that the next time you call them, you'll have a reminder of what you talked about. Now, I will tell you the rule of thumb on database calls is quarterly. If you have people who have a higher urgency in terms of what their real estate needs are, then of course you're going to call them sooner. And just for those general people in your database, your past clients and customers in your sphere of influence, ideally you should be reaching out to them once every quarter. Now here's the real icing on the cake with these database calls and where Charity has found great additional success. Put a personal note card in the mail to them after you make the phone call and thank them for keeping you in mind. I always recommend including 2 business cards, and you write, P.S. I've enclosed 2 cards, one for you and one for you to give to the next person you hear who's thinking of buying. So there are some solid ideas straight out of the chute for how you can do more lead generation. Let me give you one more that comes from Anthony Testani out of New York again. That is last quarter or last year's incoming buyer calls. These are the people that the first time you talked to them, they may have been pretty excited, or they may have called on a property that wasn't right for them but wanted to be put into a drip. If you're feeling like you're low on buyer leads, go back to that list and call them back and say, hi, you called our office once requesting information on a home for sale. Wanted to follow up with you and see if you bought a home or if we could still be of any service. What's the worst thing they can say? We already bought? We're not interested? Then you're no worse off than you were before you made the call. What Anthony finds is there's a surprisingly high number of people who are still in that hunt for a house. And even those who've made a buying purchase decision already know people who are moving. So they're still a great resource. So then let's talk about the next phase. Remember I said we're talking about lead generation, lead incubation, qualification, and conversion. When you get a lead, what's your process? You should be putting all of those people into a drip campaign with calls to action. Now, there are plenty of fine drip campaigns out there, including the one that Real Pro Systems offers. My recommendation to you is no matter who you're getting your drip campaign from, that you review each and every one of those correspondences and make sure that it reflects who you are and then it has a call to action. The call to action could be anything from be sure to visit our website, click here to get a free report, call today. There are all sorts of ways you can do calls to action, but if you don't ask people to take action, they're not going to. So very simply, and you only have to do this once, remember, because if you're putting all the people in the same drip campaign, and you may have a few different ones depending on the types of leads, once you do the work one time, you're done. And it's a matter of checking it maybe annually to make sure that everything is up to snuff with what's going on in your business. Then the all-important piece is put calls in as a part of this drip campaign. So in other words, you're going to classify your buyers, and most people do an A, B, and C category. That might mean different things in different markets. For most people, those A buyers are today ready, willing, and able to buy. That means they've been pre-qualified. They want to find something in the next 30 days, 30 to 60 days, so they have a sense of urgency. You want to be in touch with those people as often as you need to be in order to get them to the closing table. Your B buyers, on the other hand, are likely ready, willing, and able, but don't quite have the urgency. Maybe they're at 6 months, 90 days to 6 months. So you're going to put them on a longer, more intensive drip campaign, and perhaps you're calling them every 2 weeks. Your C buyers are the people that really don't have the urgency for whatever reason, and so you're probably going to have them on a drip campaign, in some cases, 3 to 5 years. And maybe you're calling once a month to start out with, or even once a quarter, depending on what their plans are. So, important thing in your drip campaign, calls to action in the individual drips that are going out, and then make sure that you're calling. Now, for people you don't have phone numbers for, internet leads, of course, you're just going to have the option for the drip campaign. But your calls to action can drive them toward making a phone call to you, which gives you the opportunity to have your first conversation and to capture their phone number, so that Mr. Smith, when I come across that property that's not yet on the MLS and it seems like an ideal fit for you, I'll be able to get a hold of you right away so we can go see that property. Does that make sense? All right, so then let's talk about qualification. Idea I am so excited about. This comes from Michael Speaks out of Austin, Texas. He has a lot of relocating buyers coming from outside of the state. So he has come up with an excellent way of helping them tour the area and narrow down their search before they ever step foot on Austin ground. This is a free service, join.me. And unlike some of the other screen sharing applications out there, you don't have to have an account in order to do this. It's as simple as what you see on the screen right now. You click share, quickly download the software that allows you to be able to share your screen, and you will be given a code. Then you give that code to, let's say, you have a couple that's coming to relocate to your area. You have one that's currently on business assignment in D.C., then you have another one who lives in Phoenix. You can have both of them on their computers, looking at your computer screen, and conference call them in so that you can walk through the pieces you're going to walk through with them. Fabulous solution. This is also great even when you have everyone who's in the purchasing decision in one location. Perhaps they have family members they'd like to experience this tour with them. You can get all those people sharing your screen at one time, seeing what's on your screen. So what are you showing them when you bring that screen? Tour the area. Most of you have MLS mapping tools that allow you to do this. So you can show them, look, here's where the company is located that you're going to be working for. So you really want to be looking in a geographic area within a certain radius. Some people don't want a long commute. For others who do, you can show them, here's what your commute's going to look like. And then, depending on your mapping tool, you may be able to show them where are the properties for sale. You may even choose to drill down like Michael does. He will take them on the individual property virtual tours of a few of the properties in their price range. And what he shares this allows him to do is he starts to uncover preferences. For example, if they're all sitting around and looking at the property that you have on the virtual tour, and one of them comments, oh, granite counters in the kitchen, that's really important to me. Now you've uncovered something that sometimes you won't uncover until someone's actually walking through a property. This saves an incredible amount of time and gives you a great amount of opportunity to really narrow down for those people their search, build trust with them. Michael shares they don't even have to sign buyer agency agreements because people are absolutely glued to them by the time they come to look at property because of this process. So to recap on Join.me, you're sharing an account. You can have multiple people looking at your screen in different locations, or they can all be huddled together around that one computer. All they need is a computer and a telephone, and you're good to go. And you will shave exceptional amounts of time off of your process and get people to a purchasing decision much quicker. Not to mention the wow factor. So the next thing, and that we're getting the leads coming in from a variety of sources. We're incubating them until such time as they're ready to start looking for a property. We're counseling them so they can narrow down their search and make a decision on just a small number of houses. Then we need to talk about what are we going to do to get them to convert. All of us have had that buyer that, whether it was their parents told them, they read it in the news, they feel like they need to make a low offer. You've got to be prepared with a powerful delivery to get them to write an offer that is not only considerable to the seller, but downright close to acceptable. Here's one great script that Anthony using. Listing offer. Memory peg for you to remember this one. Mr. and Mrs. Buyer, if someone offers you a piece of cake, you may be inclined to say no thanks. If instead they cut a piece of cake, put it on a plate with a fork, and slide it in front of you, chances are you're going to take a bite. We need to make your offer that tempting. Now, the more scripts like this that you can have in your arsenal, the better off you're going to be. This one is such a visual script. People paint a picture in their minds when you're talking, and they instantly get what you're meaning, and that is write this offer to be so tempting that those sellers can't help but take a look at it instead of flat out turn it down. Now, I've been rattling on here at a pretty fast pace for close to 25 minutes, I think. I've referenced Michael and Stacy Speaks, Anthony Testani, and Charity Crosby. I'd like to take just a moment to tell you about the course we have coming up, and then we're going to open it up for questions. So, again, it's offered March 8th through the 10th in Washington, D.C. We'll be staying right on DuPont Circle, which is just a mile away from the White House for those of you history buffs and civic enthusiasts. It's going to be a jam-packed 3 days. We have a very full schedule. So we want to have some quality control to make sure that we deliver the highest caliber of program that we're capable of doing. So let's tell you a bit about this. Michael and Stacy Speaks out of Austin, Texas. Some of you may be familiar with them as the short sale experts. They have built a phenomenal business off of helping sellers who are in danger of losing their homes. But their true passion is working with buyers, always has been. So they'll be talking about a variety of things they do in their business. Michael will actually be demoing how he does Join.me during the class. And they're also going to talk about what you can do to effectively and successfully get your buyers who are interested in buying a short sale to the closing table. Anthony Testani is a wonderful success story. Known Anthony for over a decade. He came brand new into this business, was absolutely terrified by scripts. He is now, in my opinion, one of the strongest scripts deliverers in the country, and he went from being that brand new agent to a highly successful buyer agent to now he leads an entire team of buyer agents on the Energized Realty Group team out of Flushing, New York. Charity Crosby, you see there on the screen, comes to us all the way from Eugene, Oregon. She was a buyer agent for Galen Haas, who several of you know. Charity was also a master instructor at the old Star Power Advanced Buyer University course, and she loves working with buyers. She will take a buyer over a listing any day of the week, she told me, and she is fantastic with working internet leads. So she brings a great perspective on drip campaigns, as well as being really talented with her scripts delivery. Now, I'm very excited about the addition to our instructor team of Kane O'Brien. Kane is a brilliant business mind and brings a whole understanding of the business aspect of selling to the table. Kane will talk about pipeline management and how to anticipate the number of leads that you have are going to close, how to track that business, and how to be a smart business person. He's going to actually walk everybody through a very simple one-page business plan that can help you stay on track to meet your goals. And he also happens to be a really quick wit and sharp with scripts. Even though he hasn't sold real estate, he's been in business sales enough to really share some great perspective. I'll be the one moderating this shindig, and I'd love to have as many of you can join us. Come out for that very first class. We do have the limited seating, so if you're thinking about signing up, you want to get that done sooner than later. I just know that now's an exciting time to be in the business, and there are a lot of really simple ways to be effective. You don't have to be over the top with your business to be successful. So I would welcome anybody who has follow-up questions or comments to reach out to me. I'm always happy to talk to you at the number on the screen.
Awesome. Well, with that, I think we're going to bid adieu. Thank you very much for your time, and everyone, thank you very much for dialing into today's webinar and learning more about the services from Real Estate Masters Guild. Thank you, everyone. Have a great day.